The Pats have an opportunity to make a statement and conquer their demons right out of the gate in 2026. This is Locked On Patriots. We're live.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I am your host, Nick Cattles. On today's episode, 3 noteworthy positives from our initial read of the Pats 2026 schedule. In the second segment, there are at least 3 significant negatives from this year's slate. But first, the biggest possible matchup starts the 2026 season. I am shocked that the NFL decided to go with the Super Bowl rematch in week 1. I am shocked. I thought that Seattle and New England would happen later in the season, at least midway through, maybe even towards the final quarter of the season. But right away, the NFL, right out of the gates, Patriots at the Seahawks in week 1. No buildup needed. The buildup is you look back at the Super Bowl. The buildup is this offseason. In a huge, huge matchup in week 1, a tremendous challenge, and some might say the toughest game of the season is your very first game on the docket. Now, does the NFL, I have to wonder, does the NFL think the Pats might regress this season? Or are they trying to get this one out of the way, so to speak? You know, if the Patriots or the Seahawks are not as good as they were last year this season, then if you wait on this matchup, it loses the excitement. It loses the interest. So maybe the NFL felt that one of these two teams, both of these teams, maybe they'll regress. And in this way, you start week 1 right out of the gates, shot out of a cannon with the Super Bowl rematch. There's going to be a lot of anticipation, a lot of pomp and circumstance for this football game. And the league might just think we have the best shot of having the best game between these two teams in week 1. Maybe that's their thinking. But this is, don't get it twisted, a gigantic challenge for the Patriots to start their season off in Seattle. This is going to be a big challenge for Drake May. Think about Drake May last time he's on the football field playing a game that mattered against this Seahawks defense, against Michael McDonald and his defensive scheme. The last time we saw Drake May, he looked a little rattled. The last time we saw Drake May, he was looking around trying to figure out what was happening to him. The last time we saw Drake May, he was trying to figure out this Seahawks defense. Who was going to blitz? Where was that blitz coming from? At what time were the Seahawks going to blitz? It was a pretty difficult challenge in the Super Bowl for May and this offense. And so now, week 1, he's got to be ready. And not only does May have to be ready, the offensive line has to be ready. Will Campbell, can you imagine what Will Campbell is thinking? The last time he was on a field playing a game that mattered, he was getting absolutely handled by the Seahawks defensive line, by the Seahawks pass rush. Now, all of a sudden, week 1, in a rowdy atmosphere, that place is going to be crazy, right? It's banner night. The Seahawks are going to celebrate their championship. And yes, it's going to be brutal to watch. It's going to be a brutal pregame to watch, to go through all of that. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt watching the Seahawks celebrate. But that stadium is going to be loud. The 12s are going to be out of their minds. And with such a loud stadium, you talk about communicating. You talk about the offensive line understanding what they're trying to do. I mean, that's going to be very, very difficult. So you've got your quarterback having to figure out the pre-snap versus the post-snap. He had problems with some of that back at the Super Bowl, the unpredictable blitzing from the Seahawks. And then you have your offensive line having to communicate and communicate clearly in the middle of a loud, ruckus stadium, having to go against the defensive line in a pass rush that is going to come at you in waves. It's a great test. It's a great test. If you want to look at this optimistically, this is a fantastic test for the Patriots. They get to stack themselves up against the defending champions, the team that I won't say whooped because, we could say that pretty much whooped the Patriots in the Super Bowl, right? And now you get that, your first test. We always talk about litmus tests and trying to see if you measure up. The Patriots going to get that opportunity week 1. They're going to get the opportunity to prove that they measure up to the Seahawks better than they did back in February, that their offseason was not a lost cause, that their offseason figured out some of the weaknesses that they had, the self-scouting, the reevaluations, all that stuff worked. Imagine if Will Campbell plays well. Wouldn't that be a statement? There's so much concern about Will Campbell. There's so much worry about Will Campbell. The last time we saw him, he was playing some putrid football. The Patriots, Campbell, they will tell you it's because of the injury. It's because of the MCL. And before the injury, Campbell was a different guy. Post-injury, man, oh man, it wasn't good. It was a rough postseason. It was a brutal Super Bowl. But if you want to look at this glass half full, imagine what a good game by Will Campbell would do in week one for his confidence, the team's confidence, everybody's confidence. What if Will Campbell goes out there and pitches a shutout week one? What if Campbell looks like a completely different guy against this Seattle defense? Would that not make you feel better? Against this scheme, would that not make you feel better? I would feel so much better. And I believe in Will Campbell. I think Campbell's going to be fine. But it would make even myself feel so much better if week one in Seattle, given the elements, Will Campbell goes out there and plays a good football game. And then we compare the Super Bowl to week one and say, he got better. It was the MCL. It would be a significant first step of Will Campbell's sophomore season if he goes out there and he plays well week one. Now, of course, if you want to go glass half empty, if Campbell doesn't play well, it could quickly become an avalanche. If Campbell is overwhelmed, the offensive line is overwhelmed, Drake May looks a little bit rattled again, then that might be a very, very tough beginning to a season. And you don't want any doubt creeping into the mind of Campbell after how he finished last year. So hopefully he plays good football. This is also the perfect opportunity for Mike Vrabel to do what he loves doing, and that is play the underdog. He can say to his team, right, as the Patriots gear up during camp, as they go through the preseason, as they go through the joint practices with Philly, Vrabel can say, hey, everybody thinks we got our butts whooped in the Super Bowl. And you know what, guys? We pretty much did get our butts whooped. But now we can prove the world wrong. We're an underdog. We're going on the road. We're playing at Seattle. They're celebrating their Super Bowl victory over us. Everybody's talking about how we can't do this and can't do that. Everybody expects us to lose this football game. So in that aspect, this is almost perfect for Vrabel and this coaching staff. If you were concerned about this team thinking too highly of itself after getting to the Super Bowl last year, well, week one is a brutal reminder of how the season ended. And I can guarantee you Vrabel is going to use that. He's going to use that ammunition as motivation. I would expect the Patriots to come out flying week one. Not only is it week one, but you have a chance to try to punch Seattle back. And no, that's not going to get you the Super Bowl victory. That's not going to get you the championship you lost last year. But to get the chance to walk into Seattle and punch them in the face and possibly win week one of the season against the Seahawks, the defending champions, man, that would say so much. It's almost perfectly built for Vrabel to come out and get his guys ready to play. I mean, I'm not even sure the Patriots have to win to set the tone. If the Patriots go out to Seattle in week one and they do punch, and they punch often, and this is more of a back and forth, right? If each team is throwing haymakers, even if the Patriots lose a close game in Seattle, I think that would be, a moral victory, as they might say. That could set the tone. We went into Seattle. We played them hard. We played them tough. Everybody thought we were going to just get rolled over, but we didn't. And one more thing about the week one game. It's on Wednesday night, NBC. And there is a benefit to that. The benefit to that is you're going to get the mini bye. So you play on Wednesday night, and then you don't have to play until that next Sunday. So that's actually a good thing. You play Wednesday night, and then you don't have to play till the next Sunday at home against the Steelers, week 2, 1 o'clock kickoff. So you get that mini bye after week 1. It helps the travel from the West Coast back to the East Coast, and it will certainly help you prep for week 2 against the Steelers. But man, what a challenge and what a start to this 2026 season. The Patriots, Seahawks in Seattle, Wednesday night, primetime. All right, coming up, 3 things I hate about this schedule. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. The 2026 NFL schedule release is here, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. Schedule release always sparks debates. Who's overrated? Who got a brutal stretch? And which teams are actually playoff contenders? Kalshi lets you trade on those predictions in a live market, from total wins to playoff chances and championship futures. On Kalshi, you can trade on real NFL questions like whether a team makes the playoffs or reaches a certain win total. For example, if you think a team's schedule is set up perfectly for a playoff run, you can actually trade on that prediction before the season even starts. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft, pick the game, and more on Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade on anything. The NFL season is grueling enough, but when you've got to travel a ton, it makes it that much tougher. And this 2026 schedule, when it comes to airline miles, could not be any more different than its 2025 predecessor. Thank you for making us your first listen, for being an everydayer. Don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with other listeners of this show. Tap the link in the show notes to find out more, or go to lockedonpatriots.supercast.com. You're watching us on YouTube right now, live, reacting to this schedule, 2026 Patriots schedule. It is official. It is out there. We're breaking it down. Don't forget, as you watch us on YouTube, to click that thumbs up, give us a like. Don't forget to throw a comment in as well. Your thoughts on this schedule. I want your thoughts on the Patriots opening the season in Seattle against the Seahawks in a Super Bowl rematch. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and please, my friends, do not forget to subscribe as we continue to build this community, getting you ready for the preseason, getting you ready for joint practices, camp, all of it. Don't forget to subscribe. Next goal is 10,000 subscribers. All right, before I get to more thoughts and some negatives about this schedule, and this schedule, let's not sugarcoat this. This is a brutal schedule. This is an absolutely brutal schedule. We heard it all last year about, the schedule is easy. The schedule is easy. It's the only reason why the Patriots won so much. We are not going to hear about the easy schedule this year. This is an absolute gauntlet. So before we get to the airline miles, before we get to some of the negatives, I want to get to some of your comments. Patriots.empire10. What's happening? What's happening? How you doing? Husky to Wolf 187. 10-7. So he's got the Husky to Wolf already has the record. 10-7, Husky to Wolf says. Let's go to Todd Pegram, 6584. He's more optimistic. 13-4 as the record. Newbie Boy Monk, 11-6. So we've got a 10-7, we've got a 13-4, and we have an 11-6. Crypto jumps in. Crypto Canadian 63 says 9-8, just above. And CNC says commenting for the algorithm because Nick asked. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. All right. I don't care about the strength of schedule metrics after looking at this schedule. I don't care. I talked about it earlier in the week, right? That if you looked at the Vegas over-unders, the Patriots had now the 12th hardest schedule. When you looked back at the end of 2025, they had the 6th toughest schedule because that first scheduling that came out in late 2025 was based on the win percentages of the teams that you were going to play. And then you moved forward to this week when we all looked at the strength of schedule, and it dropped from 6th to 12th because we're looking at the Vegas over-unders now. I don't care what metric you use. And I said this earlier in the week. You know who you're going to play. We're not surprised by who the Patriots are playing. We've known who they were going to play since the end of last year. But the context matters. Where you play, when you play, what time of day you play or time of night you play. All of that stuff matters. Tougher stretches. And I'm telling you, this schedule is excruciating. This is one of, if not the toughest schedules that I can remember the Patriots having to play. Let's look at the start of the season, okay? Because we'll get to the travel challenges in a minute, but I want to start with the first month of the year. The start of the season. The Patriots will play 4 games, 4 straight games against teams that were playoff teams a year ago. The first month of the year, playoff team, playoff team, playoff team, playoff team. You start in Seattle. We talked all about that last segment. Then you come back home to host Pittsburgh. Looks like Aaron Rodgers is likely going to be with the Steelers. Then you have to travel down to Jacksonville, good young football team. And then you have to travel to Buffalo. Think about that first month. Would you not feel great if the Patriots finished 2-2 after the first month of the season with that schedule? At Seattle, home Pittsburgh, at Jacksonville, at Buffalo. 3 of your first 4 games are on the road. And there's not a single cupcake among those 4 teams. Not one. I mean, it just feels like, the mission for the first month of this season is to try to keep your head above water. I mean, that is a very, very tough start. 3 of those 4 games on the road, 4 playoff teams. Then you get to the travel. Did you know the Patriots will travel the 5th most air miles this season? The Patriots will travel a total of 27,590 miles this season. If you're wondering what it looked like last year, how many miles did the Patriots travel last season? A heck of a lot less. Again, this year they will travel 27,590 miles. Last year, they only traveled 12,547 miles. The Patriots are going to travel more than 15,000 miles this year than they traveled last year. This year, again, it's the 5th most air miles. Last year, the 27th. They were in the bottom 5 or 6 as far as how much they had to travel last year. They're in the top 5 this season. I think I mentioned this earlier in the week, but the hope was that the Patriots, they've got to go to the West Coast twice. The hope was that the Patriots would go back-to-back out on the West Coast. That way you stay out on the West Coast. You don't have to worry about flying back and forth. That's not happening. Their West Coast trips split up. You start in Seattle week 1, and then you have to go back out to the West Coast and play the Los Angeles Chargers week 12. So no back-to-back West Coast, which would have helped this travel. They've got to travel to Seattle, come back, do what they got to do, and then travel out to LA to play the Chargers week 12. Now, there is one fortunate part of this. Their trip to Germany, which is going to be week 10 at Detroit, quote unquote. That trip to Germany, 9:30 a.m. kick, that trip to Germany happens after a home game against the Packers. So a little bit of a silver lining to that Germany trip. They're going to be at home before they have to travel to Germany. So that's one good thing out of the travel schedule. Something else about this schedule that is just crazy. The amount of primetime games, which we could expect, right? Every time a team makes a deep run in the playoffs, you get to the Super Bowl, you're going to get a lot of primetime games. But the combination of the primetime games and where these primetime games are and the international trip, there's no flow to this season. There is absolutely no flow to it. It is choppy all over the place. You start with week 1 on Wednesday night at Seattle. And then you look at week 12 through week 15. This is a ridiculous stretch of football. 3 of the 4 games, weeks 12 through week 15, 3 of those 4 games are in prime time. Week 12, Sunday Night Football at LA against the Chargers. Then you come back home week 13, you play Buffalo at Gillette, 4:25 kickoff. And then you have back-to-back primetime games. You play Minnesota at Gillette, Thursday Night Football, and then you go to Kansas City week 15 for Monday Night Football. I mean, my goodness. You go to Germany week 10, you get your bye week, week 11, and then you come back in weeks 12 through 15. You've got 3 of those 4 games in prime time. That is insane. That's insane. 3 of those 4 games in primetime. And all of those teams could be playoff teams. The Chargers, the Bills, the Vikings, the Chiefs. That's an insane stretch. The Patriots play 2 Thursday night games. Week 7 at Chicago. Week 14 against the Vikings. And we all know Thursday night football is incredibly unpredictable. Some teams who are really good teams play bad football on Thursday nights. The Patriots have 2 Thursday night games. And an extra kick in the junk is that the only non-primetime game out of that stretch of 4 is the Buffalo game at Gillette Stadium, and that's a 4:25 kickoff. So, I mean, even if you could kick off at 1 o'clock, at least you'd be off the field by like 4. It gives you a few extra hours. But now you're going to play Buffalo at 4:25, get done with that game, get home probably at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then all of a sudden, you got to be back in the building early Tuesday morning to get ready for a Thursday night football game against the Vikings. And then week 15 at the Chiefs, Monday Night Football, that's late in the season. Dealing with weather, dealing with a hyped crowd in Kansas City. This schedule is tough. I'm not telling you the Patriots are going to stink or their record's going to be bad. I'm just telling you the reality of this. This schedule is brutal. But I'm going to be positive here. I got to get to the optimistic part of this because coming up, I will give you 3 things that we actually love about this year's slate. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The NBA playoffs, they're happening right now, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started right now. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. You can turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. You'll like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything you need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. And here's the thing. It's a really easy app to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. So again, right now, new customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com. Again, that is FanDuel.com. Head there to get started. FanDuel, play your game. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all the money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot. It can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending, so you can actually see where your money is going. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, not going to sugarcoat this. It's pretty tough to find a lot of positives within this 2026 schedule, but we will do our best to give you 3 things we at least like about this gauntlet. Thanks for checking out the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate every single one of you. Every single one of you. We appreciate you and your support. Easty Rick jumps in and says 7-10. No cupcakes. I'm going home. CNC's back, says long-time watcher, first-time commenting. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. David Berry jumps in and says 12-5. That's what he's got as a record, 12-5. Caveman Slayer, the crazy part is that I don't care where we get the 11 wins. Just get them. Amen. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter where you get these wins. Just find a way to tuck them in. All right. I wanted to end this episode. I wanted to end this live stream on some positives because, again, this schedule is tough, but the league must really think highly of Drake May. The league must think really highly of Mike Vrabel because this schedule is loaded with primetime games, big-time moments. Kansas City, Monday Night Football, kicking the season off again on Wednesday night. The very first game of the season that people are going to watch is the rematch of the Super Bowl. And so you get these marquee matchups, you get these primetime games, you get flown out to Germany, you get your international game. It's all good stuff because now the Patriots are once again a player. When you're winning 4 games, nobody cares. We care. Nobody else cares. When the Patriots win 4 games in 2023, the 2024 schedule, not many primetime games. Was there even 2? And then, last year, not a ton of primetime games. Some primetime games, but not a ton, 2 or 3. Well, now you're back. 5 primetime games and an international game. So the Patriots, they're back to being in the conversation because of that run last year. Let's get to some more positives. The Week 11 bye. The Week 11 bye, not as late as the last 2 years. Last 2 years, back-to-back seasons, I thought it was crazy. Week 14 bye. That's really tough. You're playing, 13 straight weeks of football. That's a lot of football. That's a lot of physicality. That's a lot of wear and tear. I like the bye closer to the middle of the year. So we're a little bit closer to the middle of the year. You get that Week 11 bye. It is the perfect time to self-scout. You got about halfway through. What are you doing well? What are you not doing well? Dig in, check it out, figure it out. I also like the fact that the bye week sits between the Germany trip and the trip out to LA. That is much needed. Could you imagine the Patriots going out to play out in Germany and then have to come back the very next week and play out in LA? That would be madness. So it is the perfect bye week to sit between the Germany trip and the Chargers trip that you got to take. And also, you have that bye week, Week 11. It gets you ready for the tough stretch we talked about last segment. Week 12 through Week 15 at Chargers versus Buffalo versus Minnesota at Kansas City. 3 of those 4 games are primetime games. At least you have your bye week before that stretch. You kind of get your wits about you. Hopefully you get a little bit healthier so you can get ready for that just brutal 4-game stretch. Logistics surrounding Monday Night Football at Kansas City. This is another part of the schedule that I like because before you go out to play at Kansas City, and it's going to be a really tough game, obviously, Mahomes versus May. I mean, that's just awesome, right? But you have 2 home games before you go to Kansas City. So 2 home games, and then you have the Jets in New Jersey afterwards. So, during that 4-week stretch, you're not traveling a ton. You got 2 home games, and you travel to Kansas City, then you're right back home. You take a bus trip down to New Jersey. They won't take a bus, but you get my point. Not a lot of travel. And by the way, Minnesota is a Thursday night football game, so that gives you extra time to prepare for the Chiefs, which I also like. So the logistics around that Chiefs game is going to be a really tough game, but the logistics around that game make you feel like you got a better shot. And another thing I would say is because of all the primetime games, and I think it's crazy to have a team play 2 Thursday night games, by the way. That should never happen. But because of the primetime games you've got, the 5 primetime games, you have 3 mini buys, really, with so many primetime games. Week 1, you go from Wednesday night to the next Sunday, so you've got that extra time. Week 8, after Thursday Night Football in Chicago, you've got some extra time. So 3 mini bye weeks with this coaching staff, that is a very good thing. That will give the Patriots extra time to figure out what's going right, what's not going right. But overall, I would say this schedule, again, it is difficult. It is going to be a tremendous challenge for Mike Vrabel and his football team. A tremendous challenge. That wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen, for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at NickCRadio. And don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Click that thumbs up. and subscribe. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Patriots ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonpatriots.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you for joining us live tonight to react to the schedule. We'll continue to do this, as you know it, every day. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next time.